On this episode of the Haunted Objects Podcast.
This is our holiday episode.
Yeah.
Because we're coming back. This is around Christmas.
Well, yeah, we're back.
But we don't have any plans for this episode.
We don't. This is very sad. Connor is not here with us.
I know. We don't have Connor. Connor couldn't be here this week.
And it's extra sad because Connor loves the holidays.
He does.
And Connor loves haunted objects.
And he gives the best gifts. Connor
Do you
gives...
hear that?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
It sounds like sleigh bells.
Haunted object.
Santa?
From deep inside the mysterious archives of the Newkirk Museum of the Paranormal, it's the Haunted Objects Podcast.
Oh my God.
Santa's here.
No fear, young man. I'm Connor-Claus.
Oh, wait, is that Connor under that beard?
Oh, no. I'm his cousin from up north.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank God you're here, Connor
Oh,
Claus.
I'm so happy to deliver haunted objects to all the good little podcasts out there.
You have artifacts for us?
Oh, of course I do, my boy. In fact, if you reach underneath your desk, you might find a gift bag.
What is this? It's an entire bag,
Haunted
a giant
objects.
gold
Oh my.
bag.
It is a gold bag full
What's in
of.
there?
Let's see.
Yes.
Shall
What's
we
in
pull
there?
them out? Shall we pull them
I
out?
want to take a peek in there.
Take a peek here. It's
Oh,
full.
it's full of gifts.
It's full of gifts.
Wait. These gifts are great, but can you produce a podcast?
I think I could figure it out. There's
That's
so
great.
many buttons.
Well, listen, just
Oh
pretend each one of those buttons is an elf in charge of a different camera.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're just telling them what camera to use. And as long as our audio levels sound good for the audio
Yes.
All
listeners.
right.
Oh no!
Oh. Where did that sound come from? Okay.
I am so glad that you're here, Connor-Claus. Are you related to Santa Claus?
Well, he's a neighbor, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I'm much less busy. There's not many paranormal podcasts with haunted twists out there. So I saw your wish list to find some objects to talk about, and I think I've chosen some good ones.
Oh my gosh! Well, shall we?
Should we get started?
Let's get started.
Indeed. In
Okay.
fact, I want you to start with the biggest one of all.
Okay.
Oh, the biggest one.
Dana.
Yes.
Reach down on your left-hand side of your
I see it. I
desk.
see it. Yep.
Oh, man. Wow.
We're gonna get some bag ASMR here for our friends who
Now
like
you
ASMR.
want a good story to tell. There are stories in these bags.
I love stories.
I'll be here to help,
Are they spooky stories?
of course.
Oh, my God.
Greg is currently reaching into the bag.
Okay, there's something
We're
hard.
getting Lots of good ASMR sounds.
There's something hard in here. And it's, oh, I see.
Here we
It
go.
looks like an antler.
Here comes our first object.
It's an antler. It is. This is a cursed deer skull. Wait, we already own this.
Well, they're your stories to tell.
So
Let's
wait,
tell it.
Connor-Claus doesn't even give you stuff you don't already own?
Connor-Claus was here last night.
Connor-Claus roots through your stuff
I think-
and finds stuff to re-gift you is what he does.
Connor-Claus was probably working on the notes for this
I
episode.
think probably.
Haunted objects.
Well, this is a haunted object. This is a good one.
It is a good one. It's kind of a deep cut object for the museum. It's been around for a long time. It was donated to the museum in 2017.
17.
So a long time ago, yeah.
Almost 10 years.
Uh-huh.
This is believed to be cursed. This thing was given to us by the owner of the Chattanooga Ghost Tours. Her name's Amy Petula.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy had found this in an antique store.
Yes.
And she was working on a book, The Corpsewood Murders. If you're a true crime fan, you should check this book out. We'll link it in the description. the Corpsewood murders, very, very sad tale of a couple gentlemen who lived in the woods in Georgia. And because they were, at least one of them was a Satanist. And again, we should say this doesn't mean that they worship Satan. They were basically atheists. It's just a set of tenets. They were murdered for it. They lived in a castle in the middle of the woods that they had built themselves. And this castle had a Baphomet in the windows. And while she was working on this book, doing the research for it, she went to this antique store and she sees this skull.
And it was immediately drawn to it.
And it reminded her of the case that she was working on for this book, The Corpsewood Murders, because it was positioned inside of a pentagram. When she took this thing back, bad stuff started to happen. The business next to her was a place called Cheeseburger. I don't know. I think it's a regional thing. Some people probably have heard of this before. She had this hanging on the wall. The business on the other side of the wall, the building caved in.
It totally collapsed. And it completely collapsed.
Completely collapsed. There's news articles about this. When we went down to talk to Amy about this, we drove right by. They still had like the police tape up.
Yeah, we saw the police tape. That's right. I forgot about that.
Amy was nervous because that was one of the first things that happened. You can actually see the news article. I think we've got it on screen right here. I mean, they basically had to condemn the whole place.
Yeah, because the wall, I mean, the whole building basically collapsed and all of the other businesses were attached to the building, so the whole entire building became condemned. Because of that.
And the building, I mean, the building was old. It was from like 1876.
I mean, obviously, I'm holding it in my hand, so the skull survived.
The skull survived.
Yes.
Cheeseburger did not
survive.
One of her tour guides wrecked the trolley that they used. That happened immediately after.
So you have to imagine at this point, all of these things so far are starting to compound, right?
And then one of the tour guides gets hit by a car. And so there were only 3 other tour guides left. So Amy got nervous, took the thing out of the building.
She brought it home. She didn't bring it in her house. She was too scared to bring it in the house. So
do you remember what happened with the skull when she brought it home?
She left it on her porch, right?
On her back porch, because she didn't want to bring it inside the house, obviously.
She was too nervous to bring it in the house. And was it local dogs would like drag it into the woods?
The dogs kept stealing it and dragging it into the woods. But then when she would wake up the next day, it would be back
on the porch. I don't have an answer for that.
Even the stray dogs were afraid of this thing. We don't know what the deal was, but Amy was definitely nervous about this.
So she contacted us.
And we drove down to Tennessee. We met with Amy.
We did. We sat with her. One of the things that we talk about a lot is how much we like to be in contact with people that donate things to the museum and have as much contact with them as possible. So we drove down. We sat with her for an afternoon. We, did a little interview so we could get as much information as we could. And then we packed the deer skull up and we headed home.
I should stress too, like, here's the thing. We hear a lot of stories. Doing what we do for a living, we hear a lot of stories.
For sure.
And it's very obvious when people are maybe making a mountain out of a molehill.
Sure.
But here's the thing. Amy, this is a thing that's always like made me go, okay, something's up. Like something was genuinely happening here, is because Amy runs a ghost tour. Any ghost tour that comes into possession of a cursed object,
think this is very important to consider,
or a haunted object, is going to keep that thing at the office. They're going to charge you $5 to go look at it. They're going to make a whole big deal out of it. And then probably start a little museum based around it.
100%.
So
we've literally had people who are terrified of something have us come in and investigate it. And then once they find out that we actually are able to get
going on,
they're like, oh no, we don't want to give it to you now. And then inevitably ends up being a thing that they charge people to like come and look at.
Oh, dude, we did it. We did an episode of a television show once about a haunted object. And they actually filmed us removing the haunted object. And then after the show was over, they went, oh no, we want that back. And they put it right back where it is to continue to torment people.
So it is we will say this, it is a very rare thing for someone who is invested in the paranormal and in paranormal occurrences to not want to hold on to something like that. Amy was very scared. She kept a really, really great record of everything that was happening to her. She's a lawyer. So like obviously
for sure.
She had
I mean, there's news articles about her guides being hit by cars. news articles about the collapsed building. We have videos ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Thank you, Connor-Claus. Up on screen.
Nice.
Pedestrian hit on Market Street, May 4th, 2017. Person's been hit by a car in downtown Chattanooga shortly after 10:15 p.m. Crew on scene says one person's lying on the ground with several people around them. I hope they ended up okay. I think so. I think they were okay.
Yeah.
The HQ has not caved in yet.
No.
None of us have been hit by cars.
No, I give the deer skull lots of love all the time.
That's me knocking on wood. You know, from my perspective, trying to figure this out, those guys writing about them like she was, you know, doing this book that is harrowing, like the stuff that happened to these guys, the way that this went down is awful. So being stuck in that headspace, then seeing this thing, projecting all of that negativity onto this thing.
Yeah, and as she said, she picked this specific deer skull because it reminded her of one that was in their home.
Yes, for sure.
And so it's a great focal object for a lot of stress. It's a great, it's literally a perfect object to kind of put some fear into.
For sure.
And again, the misconceptions around bones. People are kind of creeped out by bones.
Animals with horns.
Animals with horns freak people out.
Even misconceptions around Baphomet. Which is
yes, absolutely.
You know, I think one of the most misunderstood.
I mean, in recent years, Baphomet's become a very pop culture icon, but it's usually in association with conspiracy theory. So it's not anything that's remotely accurate. It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah. Kind of an alchemical symbol Baphomet stands for. And the idea of, you know, equality above and below, as above, so below. And I think people get hung up sometimes on scary imagery, particularly older scary imagery that revolves around like secret societies and things like that. Because it's meant to be scary so that it scares people away from the knowledge and the secrets that are hidden within it.
Yes. It's often the scariest guys have the deepest and most interesting mysteries to learn.
You know, it's funny because we talked about this kind of thing on the tour about how a curse forms or a haunting forms.
Yeah.
If you spend too much time in the shadow and you project that shadow, whether it's yours or something you're afraid of or somebody else's, onto an inanimate object, other people can feel it radiating off of it.
Yeah.
And maybe this one just had a ton of shadow projected onto it.
I think that's probably pretty true.
And it was made cursed.
Yes.
This is fun. This is giving us the opportunity to talk about some objects that probably couldn't sustain a whole episode.
Well, I certainly have more for you.
Oh, you do?
In my Santa bag.
What else is in Santa's bag,
There's a
Dana?
stocking with a D on it.
You brought stockings too?
Of course.
My goodness.
Can we take a peek in here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna reach in, see what I find.
What do you feel? You feel what? Describe what you're feeling inside this stocking.
Here's some sounds. Ooh, that's good sounds. All right, there's some stuff in here.
Okay.
I can reach in and feel a few small objects. Should I just pull one of them out?
Pull one out, but one at a time, and we'll talk about each one.
Oh, no. Oh,
we
no.
know this one.
When the paranormal lurks in every shadow, and each mysterious artifact hides a ghostly tale, one show dares to uncover the truth. The Haunted Objects Podcast. Now you can wear the mystery. Introducing the official Haunted Objects merchandise. Hats, shirts, pins, and more. All designed by independent artists, manufactured by smaller businesses, and carrying the undeniable essence of the unexplained. Embrace the legend. Wear the mystery. Visit planetweird.store today.
Oh,
we know this one.
It's the haunted, creepy Bratz doll.
It's a mini Bratz doll.
Someone sent us this mini Bratz doll.
This is, you know what? Here's the thing. Most of the things that people send to us, this is a funny opportunity to talk about this.
Yeah.
On this show, we have so many like crazy artifacts. You know, the UFO parts.
Yeah.
There's like all kinds of like haunted stuff.
Yeah.
Things that like have pretty rich backstories that are pretty awesome.
Yes, and they're also, we should point out, they're also things that really look haunted. Like they look like, oh yeah, that's an awesome. But
we agonize over what objects to bring to the show because we want to make sure that they can fill out a couple hours, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of themes to discuss.
Yeah, and they should look kind of spooky too.
But most of the stuff that people send to us, I mean, 90% of it looks like this little Bratz doll.
This creepy little Bratz doll.
Friendly little stuffed animals, things that look very mundane.
You should know that not every object that is haunted is cool looking.
That's true.
Sometimes
some people probably think this is cool looking.
Hunks of plastic.
I think, is it supposed to be like a baby brat?
I think it is. Its legs move. That's kind of fun.
Oh.
Yeah, so this Bratz doll, did this not wink at a kid?
So the only note that showed up with this was a note that said, "This thing winked at my daughter. I don't care what you do with it."
Yeah.
That's all that the note said.
That's all it said? We should also point out, we have a very strangely large collection of things that have winked at kids, which is kind of
a very
weird.
common
We
thing.
have paintings and
regular
art,
old toys.
Lots of stuff
like
is out
that.
there winking at your kids, just so you know.
Just so you know. So keep an eye on your Bratz dolls.
Even your tiny little Bratz dolls. This tiny Bratz doll winked at a child.
Yep.
There we go.
There you go.
All right. I will reach in. I have one more object. No, I'm sorry. Two more objects.
2 more objects.
Ooh, I feel it is very small. I know what this one is. This is one of the only nice objects we have in the museum.
It's true. You know, we made a joke on the tour.
We did.
About how we don't get things that make people feel nice.
No.
Because you would call those heirlooms.
Yes. And the joke that we've decided throughout the course of the tour was that we get scare-looms.
We get a lot of scare-looms. Connor-Claus enjoys that, I think.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. This is not a scare-loom. This is an heirloom. It actually is.
It is this was a nice one. In fact, it's strange that it was even given to us.
Yes, this is one of two. It is a set of earrings that belonged to someone who's, I think it was their mom's.
Yeah, they believe that their mom was haunting them.
Yeah, and their mom had passed away, and these earrings were really important to her, and they moved around.
Yeah, on their own.
They were in a box in their bedroom, and they literally would move around all the time, and it was with such consistency that they were so freaked out by it, they gave it to a friend of ours who donated them to the museum.
Yeah, a friend of ours who's a paranormal researcher.
Yeah, so these are some of the only nice heirlooms that are haunted that we've ever received, because obviously most people want to hang on to that stuff.
Maybe this guy just didn't like his mom.
Maybe it was a mother-in-law.
Maybe it was a mother-in-law.
That would be the answer.
That's actually real quick story. We've covered this item on the show before, the dark mirror.
Yes.
And the dark mirror, we covered it on the show. One of the things that it seems to do is it like emerges things into the inky black mirror.
Yes.
The surface.
It is a scrying mirror.
A scrying mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So when people use it, they are usually seeing things that they are afraid of.
Yes.
99% of the time when they see something, it's something that they're afraid of. We talked about this on the tour too.
Yeah.
We had it on tour with us because we brought the mini museum.
Yes.
So people got to see things that we've talked about on the show before. And somebody was using the mirror. And they told us they saw the scariest thing they have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Their mother-in-law.
They did.
They
did see their mother-in-law
staring back at them.
That's so funny.
So maybe this isn't as nice of a thing as we thought. Maybe they didn't get along with mom.
They've never moved around for us. We keep them in the same place all the time, but they definitely have kind of a vibe, and I'm a fan of them.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
We've got the earrings that aren't heirlooms or scare-looms, sorry, but actual heirlooms, possible scare-looms.
Possible scare-looms.
We need a little
depending
bit
on the
more
relationship status.
All right, I have one more thing. I know what this is.
What is it?
It's the saint head.
This is good.
One of my favorite pieces.
Do you remember where this was given to us?
I think that were we not on a cruise ship?
I think we were on a paranormal cruise.
We were. Someone often at events, it's not uncommon for people to bring us objects. They come to
all the time.
Sometimes if we're at an event and they have something that they want to give us.
We'll see people walk through the front doors with like giant wooden idols under their arms, and we know
so many
they're coming to our set.
Yes.
They're coming to our setup.
So this one was pretty small in comparison to some of the larger objects, but it feels like a pottery.
It's like an old pottery. I believe that it's probably a biblical figure or a saint. It's the head, and it's been cracked off.
Yeah, it's broken off
of a statue. Mm-hmm. And do you remember where this thing came from?
I think it came from Cuba, if I'm correct.
This came from Cuba.
Yeah. Someone took it out of a church, I think.
Someone swiped it from, I believe, a Santeria altar.
Yeah, that's a
bad deal.
Yeah. don't steal things from people's spiritual
Particularly
altars, please. For the love
That's why
of
we
God.
always like when you find something in the woods and it looks like there's been like
Please don't
some
mess
kind of
around
a
with
magical
it.
practice going on with it. Leave it alone.
Just
man.
because, I mean, you're desecrating someone's sacred.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. That's awful.
So they got spooked after they swiped it.
I think
not only did they swipe it, but they smuggled it through customs.
Yes, I do believe so.
So this thing was probably part of somebody's spiritual practice.
Very likely it was.
It's
a representation of probably a deity, probably a saint. Very likely one of those
Saints
two
are
things.
a big deal in Santeria.
Yes,
Do you think
absolutely.
that might be a nativity scene? Is that a wise man?
Could
maybe?
be.
It kind of looks like it could be.
It does.
Sorry, one-track mind over here.
Good point.
Thank you, Connor-Claus.
Thank you, Connor-Claus.
Keeping it on topic. The holiday special.
It is a really, what's funny is I've always really loved it, and I like the energy from it. And
it doesn't
I've never
have a bad vibe.
No, I've never felt anything bad
but maybe
from
it's
it.
because we didn't steal it.
That's true, and we kind of treat it with a bit of reverence, likely again because it was more than likely part of someone's altar, and so. Sometimes people will give us things that have come from altars, and this is a great example of one. And
this is another one that strings of bad luck.
Strings of bad luck
followed the person who stole it, and bad things were happening to them, and they realized they did something they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, don't take stuff from altars.
We get a lot of that type of stuff.
Yeah, we do.
get like, a lava rocks and stuff from Hawaii that you're not supposed to steal.
Yeah.
We've gotten a bunch of that type of stuff. Those are easy enough to send back. Unfortunately, we have no idea where this thing came from.
Yes.
So
for the time being, we treat it with reverence and make sure that it is somewhere safe and appreciated.
Yeah.
So that's all that's in mine. That's a pretty good haul.
That was a good haul.
Some
Thanks,
of my
Connor-Claus.
the interesting ones.
Those are fun.
Shall we keep going?
Yeah, we would have never had an opportunity to talk about those.
I know they're. It's so random, but like, what a cool collection.
All
Look at
right.
that.
My
That's
next
awesome.
present is for Gregory.
It's for me?
Why don't you reach into the Santa bag?
Going back into the magical Santa sack.
Satchel.
Going back into the magical Connor-Claus satchel.
The satchel.
We've got this one looks nice. Is this the one that you intended for me?
Yes,
Connor-Claus?
please. And when you open it,
yes,
you need to turn on your magical sweater.
Oh, that's right, guys. My sweater.
Let's
Hold on,
see
I'm
it.
gonna do that first. I'm wearing a great sweater. I'm wearing my Christmas sweater. I'm being festive here. This sweater has lights on it.
Oh my God, they're actually great. That's so great.
Look at that, and it's got kitties.
It does have kitties.
It's got magical
wearing hats
Christmas kitties
and lights.
Okay, I'm looking at a little box here. This box looks very festive. I'm opening it up.
Ooh.
And inside, it's some green stuffing.
Got green tissue paper.
Okay, there's something wrapped up here. Ooh, it feels solid. It's square. It feels like it could be a chocolate bar.
Ooh. Do we get a haunted chocolate bar?
What is this?
A haunted bar of soap?
What do we got? Speaking. Wow, good time. Speaking of Cuba.
Yeah, we're doing all of our Cubans out there. We're doing a double duty Cuba shout out.
Wow, this thing is powerful.
Yeah.
I love this thing.
It
This
is
thing's
one of
got
my favorites.
Hardcore vibes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is amazing. I've heard people refer to this.
It's a very rare piece, actually, in the museum.
It is a very rare piece, and it has a really wild history.
It does.
This thing is, I've heard these referred to as Cuban eyes.
Yeah.
But it seems like a variation of the evil eye. What it is, it's an old chalkware, probably from the 50s. It's a little chalkware. It's on a hanger.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it depicts an eye with a tongue underneath of it, with a stake or a nail going through the tongue.
Yeah.
With some blood dripping off of it.
Yeah.
These were often hung outside of homes in Cuba, and the point was to repel gossip. You would repel gossip, negative talk. Sometimes they were considered to be basically saying like, hey, to visitors to my house, don't tell anyone what you have seen in my house.
Yep, what you see in my house,
It's
you
meant
be
to
silent about.
Yep, be silent about it or face the consequences.
Or face the consequences. Yeah.
It repels envy.
Yeah.
Which is something that the traditional evil eye, the Greek evil eye, we hear a lot about.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the evil eye, Dana.
Yeah. So the evil eye is a symbol that you can see kind of cross culture. Lots of different cultures have versions of the evil eye, but most kind of, I think, commonly we would recognize the blue eye.
Yes.
The staring evil eye. Sometimes you'll see it in jewelry. You'll see it in people's homes. The idea behind the evil eye is it repels the evil eye. It chases the evil eye away. It doesn't allow the evil eye to fall upon you.
I think, typically people thought that way back in the day that people with blue eyes were better at sending the evil eye.
I think I read that somewhere.
So you better watch it.
Greg does have blue eyes.
I do.
Yeah.
I have blue eyes.
But the idea is that sometimes people can send you negative energy intentionally or unintentionally. And often I know that I have a lot of Greek friends who's had evil eyes in and around their own cribs. But the idea is when someone gives you a compliment, and often, a good example is when you see a baby for the first time and you say, this baby is beautiful, your baby's beautiful. Oftentimes the idea was that you were alerting the gods. You were bringing the attention of the spirits and gods to something when you would give them a compliment. And sometimes those compliments were done intentionally.
Oh, so almost the idea that like, oh, you are unfairly wealthy, or your baby is unfairly beautiful.
Well, the idea was that they were drawing attention to an imbalance, and that the spirits or the gods would put right that imbalance and would draw things to those people that would create a balance. So if you had the idea was that you would have the evil eye to protect you or to protect your family members, protect the people in your home from people sending the evil eye, whether they were doing it intentionally or unintentionally. And people still do them today, use them today. We have lots of evil eyes. We collect evil eyes. A lot of people do. They're very, very famous, recognizable image. You could even argue sort of part of pop culture at this point.
Oh, for sure. It's permeated pop culture.
I think that when you can buy an evil eye necklace at TJ Maxx, you've reached.
Well, you can buy like all kinds. You buy like Sage and TJ Maxx and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but the evil eye is pretty common, pretty cool image that you can find in many different cultures, lots of different versions of it.
The idea of evil eyes has been around a long time. Greek philosopher Plutarch, I believe it was, said that the eyes have an invisible ray, an invisible power that if harnessed properly could kill small children and animals.
No, we hope not.
And cause lots of harm to people.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, is one of the origins of the idea of the evil eye. But you even see it in like old myth, like the gaze of Medusa.
Yes, exactly.
Could turn you to stone. I don't know. You probably are familiar with one extremely popular depiction of an evil eye.
Well, the Eye of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. It's an eye, an ever watchful eye, keeping a gaze out at what's going on in Mordor.
If the evil eye is directed at you, if you have a more powerful eye, you can basically negate it or even send it back to the sender.
And it's a return to sender.
Well, this is a variation on that.
Yes.
This is particularly special because it derives from Santeria, which is a Cuban-based syncretic religion that mixes a lot of like traditional West African beliefs with Catholicism. We see a lot of that in things like voodoo. And the idea was that people were trying to hide their traditional beliefs inside Catholicism so that they were not persecuted for it. I believe that even Cuba was officially atheist until the 90s.
Wow,
Nobody was allowed to practice anything until around the 90s. And then people started to become a little more lax so people could start to openly practice things like Santeria.
Yeah, and we should say that this is a pretty sort of top of the surface level description of what Santeria is.
Yes.
There's a lot of Santeria practitioners that are out there that you can find. We'll have some cool links in the show notes that you can do a little bit more research. But if you're interested in Santeria, please seek out some Santeria practitioners. There are lots of them.
This one is cool because it doesn't just have the eye, but it also has a tongue with a nail piercing through it, and it's meant to stop gossip about you.
Yeah, to stop gossip in its tracks.
And one of the cool things about this particular piece is this thing came from the weirdest place possible. If you want to think about like somebody who wants to keep secrets, who wants to maybe not have a whole lot of like talking out of school going on.
Yeah.
This thing belonged to an American diplomat.
Yes.
His name was...
I have the old, actually, the letter that the sender gave to you. Do you want me to read from that letter?
Yes,
Yes,
read the letter. Read the letter.
So here is the info I have. It says, it was in fact one of 2 gifted to my father about 10 years ago from the former ambassador to Italy, Richard N. Gardner. He had spent some time in Cuba for political reasons in the 70s and early 80s around the height of tensions with the U.S.
Wow.
I assumed he picked them up at that time, but I guess the plaques were probably made in the 50s. The former ambassador was a fan of my father's artwork, and I guess thought these might inspire him. He kept one, and he sold me the other. So if we're talking about keeping secrets, that's
how wild
that's a cool,
is that?
Yeah, there's some power there.
It belonged to a guy who needed to keep some secrets.
Well, I would say that this bad boy kept some dang secrets in its day.
Me
and it's
too.
got a very, very intense energy. It is one of my favorite pieces, truly, in the museum. It's such a special, interesting piece.
And you know what? This is a working piece.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of bizarre rumors about us.
Believe it or not, yeah.
A lot of very strange rumors.
There's
about
tons of them.
Who we are and what we're up to.
Well, we have a museum of paranormal and strange artifacts, but we're also magic practitioners. And so that tends
we're occultists, and that doesn't sit well with a lot of the country.
I heard, most of the things that I've heard are that you guys are writing a tell-all book.
Yes.
That's true. That's one of my favorite ones. This is funny.
The other rumor, of course, that I've heard is that you all work for the CIA.
The
Speaking
CIA
about government.
Actually, we've heard that.
Well,
that
I've
one
heard
too.
it.
Yeah.
I've heard it,
A
and
lot.
I've seen people say that they think that we're in the CIA.
It's the UFO people.
Yeah.
UFO people
All
think
the
that
time.
we have CIA ties.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think that they often think that everyone's in the CIA, though. Like
That's true.
I think that it's if you make something that sort of the general public sort of pays attention to, like something like Hellier, which is, we're introducing some pretty interesting, weird ideas about what we think aliens or ultra-terrestrials are. And I think that often that just draws the attention of conspiracy theorists.
You know what's funny? You know what didn't help that? I just realized it. It just popped into my head. It was Tom DeLonge tweeting about
It was absolutely
Hellier.
Tom DeLonge. The second that Tom tweeted about Hellier,
He didn't tweet about it. He put it on Instagram.
He put
That's
it on
right.
Instagram.
And he was like, I can't remember exactly how he put it, but he basically like told all of his followers to watch Hellier because it was the best depiction of the paranormal.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the CIA rumors started.
Yes, I think so.
There's a rumor older than that, too.
One of my favorite rumors is that it came from like a very prominent ghost hunter. And it was the idea that the entire museum was basically unfairly influencing any success that we have. So the idea was that the objects themselves were unfairly influencing.
Because we were treating these objects as if they had an intelligence and we weren't just like, trying to exercise them or like sticking them in a closet and with a ring of salt around them.
I think a good way to explain it is maybe people were seeing people introduce new ideas about these objects, and they didn't like those ideas because they think that everything should be in a ring of salt.
They think everything is evil.
There's an easy answer for everything, which is ill-informed.
Dana, would you call it an amulet or a talisman?
So I think that there'll be arguments regardless because people have very specific ways that they think about things. But I think we can think of an amulet as something that's worn for protection, and a talisman could be something that, kind of creates energy in the home or around the home.
Got it.
So the cool thing about this piece is it basically just protects our home, protects us, protects the people in our home all day long. And
it's a working piece.
It's never done anything. We've never really had any kind of experiences with it other than the fact that it seems to be doing its job very well, which I'll take. Thank you. We appreciate you. But it is something that, because it was given to us and it reflects another culture's practice, it's something that we really do have a lot of reverence for, and we really appreciate that it is something that was given to us to care for.
We get a lot of stuff in the mail. 9 times out of 10, we don't experience anything. But that last 10% is where things get really interesting. And occasionally, there's 1% that changes the way that we think about haunted objects.
We bind it to the nails, face it.
The Unbinding, now available on Blu-ray, exclusively at planetweird.store.
Well, I think somebody else has a stocking.
I have a stocking too.
You got to get in there, dig around.
Okay, back into the magical satchel. Oh, there it is. There it is. The big red stocking with a G on it. That's for me. All right. Let's see. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff
It
in
looks
here.
like it's full.
Okay. Ooh, there's something metal. It's cylindrical. I know what this is.
I love this one. I haven't seen this one in so long. This is fun.
Good one. Okay, so this is a metal tin. This is old.
It's like tube, sort of.
It says Van Houten since 1828 on the top.
Possibly going to give you tinnitus, or not tinnitus, tetanus. You're going to need a tetanus shot after it.
I'm good on my tetanus shots.
Yeah, that's true. Greg's all up to date.
Earlier this year, I stabbed myself through the palm with an antique Golden Dawn ritual dagger.
Yep.
And it was horrible. And you know what's funny? That dagger changed my fate line.
It did change
when
your
it
fate
healed.
line.
I had to get like 6 stitches. And it was the first time I've seen like hand meat.
Yeah.
It was bad.
I've seen it also.
Well, one day you're going to say what object you were holding when it happened.
It was a bad scene, guys.
It was a bad scene.
Who knows how that story is going to end, but
to be continued.
You know what's funny? When that happened, I was kind of working on our home museum room where we keep all of our favorite objects and things that remind us of like some of our favorite adventures.
The parlor.
The parlor and the seance parlor. I was putting it together. And when that happened, and it happened in the stupidest way, I'll tell the full story someday. I looked down at my palm and I have this like crazy ritual dagger. They shouldn't make them that sharp if it's just for ritual use, but this thing was sharp.
It is very sharp.
And it was sticking directly out of my palm. It hit the bone.
Ugh, God.
And I was looking at it and it hadn't started to bleed or anything. And I was staring at it. And unbelievably, the very first thing that went through my head was, this looks metal as f***. I should take a picture of this. And then it started to shoot this searing pain. And I wasn't thinking. I've never been through anything like this before. And I pulled it out.
You're never supposed to pull it out.
I know. And the brightest crimson red blood just started flowing from it. And then
you uncorked it is what happened.
I know. And I bled all over an object that you shouldn't bleed over.
Yeah, you did. I guess we'll see what happens.
To be continued.
Possessed by the devil.
Maybe.
All the rumors are true.
It's true. Yeah, why wasn't I protected from that?
I mean, maybe you're supposed to be.
Okay.
Possessed by the devil.
Maybe I'm supposed to be possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the cylinder. I'm pulling the items out. There are 3 items, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've looked at this. There are 2 old children's shoes.
Yeah, gross old children's shoes.
2 old children's shoes. And then there is a old tin-type photo of a baby.
Yeah.
These were found inside of a wall of a Victorian house in New England.
Yes. If you live in New England, you might be familiar with this practice.
Yes. The people who found these were hearing the pitter-patter of feet running around their house at night. And then when they were doing renovations, they found this tin with this photo and these little shoes inside the wall.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy. If you don't know much about the history of why people did this, you'd probably go like, oh, where's the murdered child?
Yeah.
But these things were often kept in walls. Shoes were often kept in walls as good luck charms.
Yeah.
They were used to keep bad luck out of your house.
Yeah. Creepy little children's shoes.
Yeah.
Little Victorian creepy kids. I mean, it's kind of hard. Can you imagine before people recognized that practice, that when they were like doing home renovations, they would like find these creepy Victorian shoes?
Oh, sure.
Stuffed in the walls and stuff.
It wasn't just shoes. Shoes were like a common one. But dead cats were another one.
I've heard that.
They would put, a lot of times when people are doing renovations on really old houses, particularly ones that were like from the late 1800s or early 1900s, they will find mummified cats.
I have have one.
that have been placed in the walls. We do have one.
I have a mummified cat. His name is Bone Dust, and he lives in my witchy room.
And he was from somebody's wall.
He was from the walls, and now he, and if his spirit decides to stay, can hang out in the house all day long if he wants. Bone Dust chills in the witchy room.
I love it. It's a cool old piece of folklore that to protect your house, you can put shoes in the walls.
Yeah, much less stinky.
Yeah, but I think this person was probably scared when they found this and didn't understand what the folklore was.
Understandably, it is kind of scary to find a really creepy tin type of a frightening child and their shoes stuffed in a house that you just bought and you're going through it. I would be very, I mean, I'm a different kind of person. I'd be very excited. But I think a normal person probably was very scared of that.
Because you're demonically possessed.
Demonically possessed.
Okay, what else do we got in here? I think I'd recognize what this is. The hair.
His hair? Oh,
it's Simon.
Oh, that was perfect. Simon is, I love
that
Simon.
would be Simon's
it is.
Like sitcom. It's Simon.
Most people don't know about Simon. Simon is an old OG museum piece. Simon is a small doll wearing a blue striped shirt and shoes and no pants.
Has no pants.
Simon,
he's got red hair, curly red hair.
Simon is the
handmade.
Yes, and if we were talking about the movie The Good Son, Simon is not the good son.
Simon is not the good son.
I reference The Good Son all the time, and Simon is not the good son.
Simon was sent to us by a very scared mother.
Yeah.
Because her son, they were at like a yard sale.
I think it was a yard sale.
Or if you're from where Keelan's from, a tag
sale if you're from New England.
If you're from New England.
If you're, do you guys call them garage sales? That's what we call them in Canada.
Garage sales, yard sales.
Okay.
Her son sees this doll.
Yes, this pantsless doll.
He came with a rocking chair.
Simon has a chair also, we should mention.
The chair is actually back there.
A small
Simon normally sits in the background here.
That's where Simon is all the time.
Simon came with a rocking chair, and this woman was like, "You really want that old raggedy doll?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want the doll. I really want the doll." He was really, really attracted to it. And so she's like, "Okay, fine, whatever." Paid 50 cents for him or whatever. Takes it home and then notices that her son starts to develop a very strange relationship with Simon.
Yeah.
Because he starts to do a lot of bad things. Like she's finding weird stuff around the house or things are broken. And he keeps saying, "It wasn't me. It was Simon. Simon did it. Simon did it." The thing that
kind of a classic story, isn't it?
Yeah, classic.
Blame it on your, blame it
on the haunted doll.
Blame it on the haunted doll. Blame it on the creepy ghost.
She would find Simon in his rocking chair rocking.
Yes.
Even with nobody touching it.
Yes.
And she was already kind of freaked out by Simon.
Yeah.
And the last straw was she noticed one day that all of the kitchen knives were disappearing one by one. And then when she was cleaning her son's room, found all of the kitchen knives under his bed.
Yes.
And that's when she confronted her son and said, "Why are you doing this? These are dangerous. You can't have these knives." And again, it was Simon is doing it. Simon's taking the knives. Simon's hiding the knives. And so she came up with this. I mean, it seems kind of ingenious, right? That Simon was going to go on a vacation.
Yeah, I forgot about this. Oh my God, it's so smart.
She put Simon in a box and stuck it in the attic and then told her son, Simon just went on a vacation. He'll be back. Don't worry. He's out having fun. And then her son just sort of forgot about Simon. And then when they were moving out of the house, they found the box. She finds the box and she sees Simon and her heart stops because she remembers how creepy the doll was.
Yeah, wasn't her son older
Her son was older. And so she was sent him a picture.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, do you remember
because he was
your friend Simon?"
He was in college or something like that. Or he was going to school or something. He was older.
And her son was like, "Oh my God, I forgot about Simon.
Yeah.
That's why didn't you get rid of this? I thought Simon, you just destroyed it.
Yeah.
Get rid of Simon. Simon is evil."
Poor Simon.
And so Simon ended up coming to us.
Yes. Simon has been with us since then. And We just we don't keep any knives around Simon, but I kind of love him.
Just in case.
Simon's a problem child.
Just in case. You know what's funny? He kind of looks like that kid from Problem Child.
He does. I just love him. He's tiny. You can hold him in your hands.
Yeah,
he has no pants. I love that he's just dong out.
Simon, Simon is a problem child, but we haven't noticed anything with Simon.
He used to be on the naughty list.
Oh, is that true?
But not anymore, so.
Oh,
I'll
that's
take him.
Nice. All right.
I'll put him
Good
over
work,
here.
Simon.
We'll put him here for a couple episodes.
Connor-Claus.
Nice.
There he is. Simon now has a home at the production desk.
There you go. Put him, there you go.
That toss is funny because that might be the first time that a lot of people realize that the production desk is in the same room.
Yeah, a lot of people think you're in a different room. Did you know that?
No.
People would say that to us throughout the whole tour. They're like, oh, he's a totally different room. Nope, he's like 20,
No, we're literally looking right at
10
you.
feet away from us.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny thing.
It's a funny detail.
Yeah, you never know. Well, that was lovely.
Is that
I've just emptied my stocking.
Nice work.
Got to see some old friends, some old haunted friends.
Do we have...
What's next, Connor-Claus?
Do we have more?
Folks, we do have one more present for you to open here.
Oh, my God.
On the Haunted Holiday Special.
Let's get it done. Where is it?
Dana,
is it
do you want to reach in and see what's in there? And guess what? These objects go together, and there's one for each of you.
Ooh.
Oh.
You go first. I'll take the one that's left afterwards.
Okay, I've got... It looks like a takeout box.
It does look like a takeout. Very cute, Connor-Claus.
I'd like Dana to open hers first, though.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. Dana is opening what looks like a little big takeout container. It says Santa's Delivery.
Oh, I know what this is.
Ooh, describe it.
What we have here is a small glass jar. Can you hear that sound? It's got a cork top, and it's full of dirt, thorns, and some little rocks.
That is that's dirt from a cemetery. That is graveyard dirt.
Graveyard dirt.
Dana, you're a witch.
Yes.
What's the importance of graveyard dirt?
Well, it can be used in lots of different rituals. It can be used in rituals for protection or spirit communication. It really just depends on the practitioner, but it is kind of a useful tool to have in your witchy cupboard. But there are ways that you can collect cemetery dirt that are usually a little bit more, I don't know, respectful.
That won't cause a massive haunting.
And this one was. This one, unfortunately, was not collected the proper way.
This was given to us by our very freaked out friend, Linda.
This is from Linda.
Do you remember? This is so funny. Do you remember where we were when Linda gave us this dirt?
I think this is the second time I've said this today, but I believe that we were on a cruise ship.
We've done a lot of paranormal cruises.
It makes us sound like we're like the ultimate cruisers.
We're not. We're not. No. We were there to work.
Yeah.
This came from a very particular place.
Yes.
We were in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle.
We were in the Bermuda Triangle when Linda gave us this object and donated it to the museum, in which it's been the whole time.
It was the middle of the night, and Linda is like, I have something. It is terrifying me. Can I give it to you? I brought it on the ship, and we're like, what? You brought a haunted object on a cruise ship in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle? What fates are you trying to tempt?
Linda is a wild woman, as we know. Linda takes a lot of paranormal adventures, and so it was very funny, and it was sort of like perfect place for this object to be given to us.
Linda purchased it on eBay.
Yes, she did.
And this did not work out so well.
No, it did not.
Linda purchased it because it was from a pretty infamous location, a pretty infamous cemetery. So Linda ordered this dirt off eBay because of where it was collected from. And then it shows up and she just forgets about it. She doesn't really think much about it. And she would occasionally remember when she sees the package sitting on her table.
Oh, yeah. She didn't even open it, I think, for like the longest time. It just sat like in the package. Yeah. Because she was kind of like, I don't want to deal with this right now.
But it would give her bad vibes.
Yeah.
There would be like strange vibes coming from this package, which is usually like when we get haunted objects from people, that's usually how it starts. It's just a feeling.
A vibe, yeah.
It's just a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And she avoided the package for quite a while because of that feeling.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And what was funny was it didn't matter that it was in the package because strange things started to happen in the house.
Yeah.
Both Linda and her daughter would see full, like, human-size figures moving from room to room.
Yeah, didn't one lean over a balcony and look at them at one point? I remember that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the funnier stories is Linda has a dog named Kevin Bacon, or had a dog.
Yes.
R.I.P. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon did not like this package.
No.
And
Kevin knew what was up.
And I believe the package was kept in Kevin's room.
Oh.
Kevin had his own little room.
Kevin is like, get this thing out of here.
And Kevin stopped going in the room.
Oh, poor Kevin.
And was trying to tell them, yo, something's up with this.
Kevin was alerting the family that
I don't want this.
Yeah, get this out of here.
Gotta trust the dog.
Trust the animals.
Always trust Kevin Bacon.
We always tell people, if something is going on, your pets will tell you first.
Yeah.
They always know. They're looking in places.
They sense
got
it
senses,
immediately, for sure. Yeah. So after all of this stuff is happening, things are moving around. There's a weird vibe. Linda decides to do an EVP recording, and she decides to do it while they're sleeping, so that there's no kind of general movement in the house. So
because weird stuff was happening at night. I think Linda was waking up in the middle of the night.
I think they were seeing a lot of this stuff at night.
Kevin Bacon was acting strange.
Yes. And so they left a recorder, which was a voice-activated recorder.
Yeah, so it only records when it hears noise.
Just sounds.
Yep.
And they left it in the room with the cemetery dirt overnight. And it recorded 3 solid minutes of sounds. That Linda came to this exchange prepped and ready to play for us.
We, again, have video footage of this.
We do.
And we will play that so you can see and hear what was going on with this dirt.
Yes, it was a lot. Hey, Linda. Linda. Hey, Linda.
Hello. Isn't that not crazy?
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's one of the creepier EVP recordings we've ever heard.
I think about it a lot, and also I do say, "Hey, Linda."
You do
a lot.
You do, especially when we're thinking of Linda.
Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Linda,
wake up. This, if you're listening to the audio recording, there are sort of transcriptions in the video, so you can check out the video edition of this podcast if you want to see the recording instead of just listening to it. But I think we have a transcript, don't we?
Yeah, here's these some of the transcripts of what was heard potentially as EVPs during that moment there. I'll just read them. Hey, Linda. Hello. Hey, Linda, wake up. Leave the dirt alone. Linda, it does not belong to him. I'm in your bedroom.
Oh my
I'm not playing games here.
Oh.
Wake him up. I'm up. I am watching you sleep.
I'm watching you sleep.
That's what you want to hear in an EVP session in your own home?
No, especially not about your bedroom.
I'm watching you sleep.
It's a voice consistently saying, hey, Linda, pay attention to me.
Here's the thing. That's a voice-activated recorder.
Yeah.
So that 3 minutes could have taken place over an entire night.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is kind of all over the place. So you're right. It could have been over the 8 or however many hours that was sitting recording. But in total, it recorded 3 minutes of kind of sparse, random sounds.
It's as if something was pacing the house at night while she was asleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You get that vibe from it.
You do kind of it's coming back. It's a little bit more frustrated at certain points. It's wandering around kind of.
You gave Linda some tips
I did.
on what to do now that the dirt is gone.
Yep.
Don't think they've experienced anything else since then.
I don't think so.
I think it stopped.
Yeah.
So probably has something to do with the dirt.
Yeah.
This dirt, I'm sure you're wondering by now,
People
listener,
are probably very curious about where it comes from.
where this cemetery dirt is from. This dirt is from a very infamous cemetery outside of Chicago.
A lot of people might be familiar with this location.
A lot of legendary stories about this place involving the mob. There's a very, very famous ghost photo that was taken.
Very famous, yes.
It is from Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
It is from Old Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Considered one of the most haunted cemeteries in the United United States, if not the world.
People recognize the photo from Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. It's kind of probably one of the first ghost photos you see when you're first getting interested.
For ghost photos, the Madonna
of Bachelor's Grove. Yeah. I actually took a recreation photo back in 2009.
Oh,
when
we'll put
you
it on
lived
screen.
in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. We lived in Chicago for a few years. Loved it there. Got to go and experience. We actually told a very funny story about Bachelor's Grove in the Museum Mailbag podcast.
We do.
If you're a museum member, you can listen to this very funny story about the werewolf of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Yeah. And a very interesting gentleman that we met there. Patreon.com/Paramuseum if you want to listen to that.
The Bachelor's Grove dog man stole our tip jar.
The Bachelor's Grove dog man stole our tip jar.
Yeah. We attempted to have a
free paranormal convention,
paranormal conference in Chicago, Joliet, actually, and didn't go so well.
No, well, it did go so well, but then someone stole the tip jar.
I had a horrible time. Don't you remember? We were like, well, we're never going to do this again.
No, it was enough that afterwards we were like, yep, got that out of our system.
It was at Scott Mansion,
It was at Scott Mansion.
which we investigated on television once.
Yes, but the Bachelor's Grove dog man stole our tip jar.
Go listen to that. Patreon.com.
The Bachelor's Grove dog man is something that people have seen. I remember reading that people would see a red-eyed dog
that's
out
a
in the cemetery
one.
too.
Isn't that in like England? Don't they call it the black shuck?
Or Angus.
Or the black Angus, something like that?
There's lots and lots of folklore.
That's a bad omen. It's an omen of impending doom.
Yeah, don't want to see a lot of black dogs, specifically in cemeteries.
Nope.
You don't want to see those guys.
There's a ghostly figure of not just the Madonna, the woman with the baby. There's also a ghostly figure of a caretaker.
Oh, yes.
I think he has like a lantern or something
roaming
the grounds.
Oh, I love that he has a lantern. I didn't know that.
Lots and lots of reports, particularly like the 70s and the 80s, of like glowing orbs that seem intelligent.
Yeah, like a blue floating light that people will see. I think a lot of
Will-o'-the-wisp.
Yeah, like a will-o'-the-wisp. A lot of people have seen the lights moving around, glowing lights in the cemetery.
Part of the reason the cemetery is so infamous, so notorious, is because it's long been rumored that cemetery, which is it's a little off the beaten path. It's closed to the public. It has been for a long time.
Yeah.
There were lots of rumors of the Chicago mob using that forest around there and the cemetery itself to dump and bury bodies of
I've heard that.
people that they've put a hit out on.
Yeah, so there could be some of those out there.
Do you remember the coolest story about Bachelor's Grove, though?
No.
The coolest one is the one of the disappearing, Victorian house.
This is my favorite story about Bachelor's Grove. And I think it's so cool that multiple people have had this experience. And it's that when people are coming to visit, they'll see through the trees in the distance an old Victorian house.
Oh yeah, and it's got a picket fence.
Yeah,
it's got everyone describes it the same way, which is crazy. It's an old Victorian farmhouse.
Yeah, like an old farmhouse.
There's a picket fence and there's a swing set, and everyone always describes it the same way.
Yeah. Don't they describe seeing aren't the lights flickering inside the house?
It's like warm lights coming out of the window.
Yeah, it looks welcoming. It doesn't look scary.
But the closer that they get to it, the more it starts to dissipate. And it disappears. It's a ghost house.
It's completely, it's there and then it's not there and it disappears right before your eyes.
I have a meme. I have a meme idea really quick. Okay.
Yes.
Like an internet phrase that would be good. What if we kissed in the shrinking, disappearing Bachelor's Grove cemetery house? Right?
That's a very really specific one, but it's I know there are people out there who are going to use that now.
Cool. So, why is this place haunted is the question, though.
First of all, it's a place of local legend. And now it's not even local legend. It's the quintessential haunted cemetery.
There's a Ghost Adventures episode there where they're mostly wandering around the woods.
Those are the best Ghost
Adventures. It's actually kind of crazy they got permission to do that. Did they do it at night?
Yeah.
Man, because you're not allowed to be there at night anymore.
No.
There's too much vandalism.
Yeah.
Part of what happened was that used to be a main drag. That used to be part of the turnpike. And so it was right off the turnpike.
Yeah.
And then in the 50s, they rerouted the turnpike to go around it. And that just kind of sat there, and
So
people started to neglect it. And as happens, it turns into a lover's lane. So kids are going there at night to go smooching, and we know high strangeness.
Pot.
Well, probably that too. High strangeness tends to generate a lot around lovers' lanes.
It loves the smoochers.
People start to experience when there's a lot of like sexual energy happening in a place. There seems to be more paranormal reports that are reported in these places. That's, you know, one of the very first appearances of the Mothman.
Yeah.
Couple kids out there smooching out by the TNT area.
This high strangeness high strangeness is horny.
High strangeness is horny.
It's the horniest of all the strangenesses.
Wow.
We need a bumper sticker that says, we need a t-shirt. We need merch that says high strangeness is horny.
What if it's horny for high strangeness?
That's even better. That's even better.
Perfect.
We need patches. I want a horny for high strangeness
Horny for
patch.
high strangeness.
Oh my God. That's
Love
genius. Let's do it.
So I think that probably helped. I think the rumors that probably helped, you know, the Lover's Lane thing probably helped generate a haunting there.
Sure.
Also the rumors of the mob dumping bodies there, like who knows, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of whether that's true or not, people believed it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we know when you believe in something.
Well, and they're showing up there then with those things in their head, and it's scary.
Yep.
What if we see what if we see someone dropping a body off? Like we're already and the other thing is, to get to Bachelor's Grove, you have to like run across like a high. It's a strange kind of experience before you get to the area.
You can't drive down to it.
No, because it's
anymore.
all
you have to go for a walk.
Yes, and please don't go at night. Please don't go trespassing.
Yeah, you'll get in trouble.
You'll get in trouble.
The police do patrol it
all the time.
If you see any like cool blue lights bouncing through the woods,
it's probably just
the
cops.
police coming to arrest you.
Yeah,
holding a flashlight.
Yeah. Absolutely. But you're right. People are going there already kind of excited, and they know it's already spooky. It's a legendary place, so they're kind of bringing that vibe there for sure.
I think one of the other reasons that this place could potentially be haunted is there's a lot of like grave robbing and vandalism that happened there. People were stealing like whole headstones from this place.
That sucks.
And of course, you know, like that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing something, you know, maybe somebody was attached to that thing, and that's not a good thing to do.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different reasons. There's there's a lot of satanic panic stuff from the 80s. Like kids are going out there doing satanic rituals.
Kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons and smoking marijuana.
There's a real nice old website, thepathtobachelorsgrove.com.
Oh, cool.
That's a very cool picture.
This website is pretty great because it reminds you of like old school internet websites about ghosts.
Yes. It's got pretty much all the information you could ever want about it.
Looks like a lot of the photos don't work anymore.
It looks like
been
an
up for a long time. Are there animated GIFs of dancing skeletons?
God, some of these pictures are so great,
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Oh, there we go. Disappearing cars.
Oh, yes, that's true. Oh, there's the Phantom Farmhouse.
Phantom Farmhouse. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, there's photos of the old farmhouse, too.
So there was farmhouses that were out there. Like there were settlements and homes that were out there, I think.
Oh, it's so cool. All right. So this dirt, fortunately, because of Linda, we know exactly where the dirt was taken from.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is what's cool about this is because after Linda gave this to us, she got curious because, you know, one of the things that we're always telling people, we're always warning them about is if you buy a haunted object on eBay, you probably are getting ripped off. You know, there's a lot of like psychic scams that people pull on eBay. You know, there is a chance that this person who sold you the dirt is lying to you.
Yeah.
And this thing isn't actually from there. So it could be weirder than that. Linda actually reached out to the seller and talked to the seller. We actually have like emails from the seller.
Yeah, they were back and forth. Yeah.
If you're a museum member, we've posted the full emails in the museum. You can read those for yourself. But the seller knew a lot about Bachelor's Grove Cemetery and said exactly how they collected the dirt and what grave site they took it from.
They did.
And this seller actually, by the time that Linda reached out to them, they were like, yeah, I'm not selling any more of that stuff anymore. I've had too many people reach out to me saying that like, I'm doing this unethically. I'm evil for collecting this dirt. Like they're too scared of it, et cetera, et cetera. And this person just thought they were like, well, I live like a couple blocks away from the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's a cool, infamous place. I just thought it'd be a fun keepsake for people who can't make it to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so they would only collect loose dirt and rocks and sticks. And that's that's why there's some of that stuff in the
you can see that what it looks to be is some pretty dry, dusty dirt and some bits of twigs and there's obviously some sort of thorns and stuff in there too. But it was whatever was on the top. So it was topsoil, whatever was sort of relatively getting trafficked because there was a lot of movement walking around in that area. So they probably scooped it up and just put it in a jar.
So while we're on that topic, here's another witch question for you.
Sure.
What do you think it would be about graveyard dirt that could potentially cause some kind of a haunting? Like, what would it be? Is there a way to improperly take the dirt? Is there potentially from, a specific place it could come from? Why would somebody experience something like this with something like graveyard dirt?
Well, so if you're collecting dirt from a graveyard, which is not, again, an uncommon thing for magic practitioners to do, it can be very useful. There's ethical ways to do that. And then there's ways that would basically be you showing respect to the land spirits, potentially to anybody who's still around, any energies that are still around. And so what I like to do is I don't like to collect dirt from anyone's grave specifically. I don't ever dig into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually, if not always, will bury coins.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say.
I will put honey on the ground.
Oh yeah, an offering.
Yeah, I'll leave something, but usually it is coins, and more often than
It's
not,
pretty traditional. I think a lot of people will they'll not necessarily dig a hole, but like maybe with their fingers.
With your fingers, yeah.
Just a little bit of a hole, and that's where you take the dirt from.
You take the dirt.
And then you put the coins in, and you cover it up.
Yeah. And so you're leaving an offering, you're showing a sign of respect, you're showing a sign of reverence and recognition of what the space is used for. And in a way, for a lot of magic practitioners, it's the idea that we work with spirits all the time.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an understanding and a recognition of those spirits and a show of respect and reverence for the space that is, the living go-to.
Do you remember where we did that exact same thing, where we took some graveyard dirt and then buried some coins?
I think we did it. It was in New England. Was it John Proctor's grave?
That was actually, we did that for a Kindred Spirits episode. I was thinking of an even more infamous cemetery in the flyover states.
Oh, Stull Cemetery. Here's the thing, though. We're doing an entire episode on Stull Cemetery because
you think so? We should.
The folklore and the urban legends are so fun. It's such a classic, early internet spooky, total it's chaos and
the Pope won't fly over it.
There's a staircase that goes down to hell.
What was the website where we would read about this? Shadowlands.
Yeah,
Shadowlands website.
Shadowlands.
Any old school ghost hunter will tell you that the Shadowlands website, they spent so much time on it.
Yeah, we should do. I would love to do. Maybe we don't do a whole episode on it, but maybe we've got stuff that is sort of in the vein.
We have graveyard dirt from Stull.
We do have graveyard dirt from Stull Cemetery. It was also burning when we went there. It was
on fire when we were there.
And it was on fire.
It's supposed to be the gateway to hell, right?
Yeah, and it was on fire.
It's on fire.
It was but it was very cool.
There's literal fires, patches of them all over the cemetery. It's not a controlled burn. We don't know where it's coming from. There's no bonfire anywhere. There's no leaf piles.
We could do try to do an episode live from Stull Cemetery, but all the locals are chasing us.
Yeah,
and
we're just driving away from Stull Cemetery.
Out of breath, live driving away from Stull Cemetery.
The rumor is
Stull Cemetery.
The rumor is they did that. The Stull Cemetery is that they had the news crew out there waiting because on Halloween night at midnight or 3 a.m. or whatever, the old brick church. It's not there anymore.
No, it's not.
They would say that a gateway would open up in front of the church stairs and you could go down in and it would take you to hell.
There was a door.
Think a local news agency actually went there and for some reason had to leave before midnight.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like, oh, they were too scared. They're covering it up. They're covering it up.
They used to say that the church before it crumbled, because the foundations are still there, but they used to say that before the church crumbled, the roof had fallen in, but the rain would never land inside of the church.
Yes.
There was all these great old stories about it.
Maybe we will talk more about another haunted cemetery someday.
Yeah, we definitely should. It'd be very fun.
We're talking about Bachelor's Grove
We
today.
are talking about Bachelor's Grove.
Speaking of things that catch fire in haunted cemeteries, Greg, open your next present.
Well, how did you know? It's like he knew that we were going to talk about that segue.
Okay, here we go. This is the last present, correct?
Last present.
Yes.
All right, this is the last gift from Connor-Claus. I have a feeling that I know what it is because of your clue.
Do you wish you could have weekly episodes of the Haunted Objects podcast? If so, you're in luck because we just launched Museum Mailbag, a companion show where we dive deep into previous episodes' topics, answer your questions about the unexplained, and reveal the secrets of the universe.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The only way to get the show is to become a member of the Newkirk Museum of the Paranormal. Becoming a member doesn't just support the show, it also gives you access to monthly live-streamed adventures and experiments with us.
And a magical monthly subscription box with live classes about the occult and witchcraft with me.
Plus, you'll get downloadable goodies, exclusive merch, and more.
To join the museum and get your weekly dose of the Haunted Objects podcast and so much more, join us at patreon.com/paramuseum.
Let's open it up. Okay. There's a big bow on top. Ooh, I feel something. It feels plastic and triangular and potentially warped. It is.
I know what it is.
The Black Hen Planchette.
It is.
One of the oldest items in the museum. It's an old school one. We've had this one for a long time.
It's a classic.
This comes from Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
It does come from Bachelor's Grove.
This has got such a cool story attached to it. You know, people are scared of Ouija boards.
Yeah.
People, for some reason, even though we keep telling people, like, maybe it's a gateway to your own subconscious. Why would the tool be evil? You know, if you're prank calling somebody, of course they're going to be mad. Know who you're trying to talk to when you use the Ouija board. These things were originally made. Connor just wrote an article for the museum members all about an infamous pink Ouija board that people believe was banned because of like conservative outrage because it was marketed to little girls. And, you know, things aren't always as spooky as you think, but this one has a spooky story attached to it.
It does. It's sort of like a perfect, creepy, like Ouija board story, which I love.
If you're listening to the audio podcast, I'll describe this to you. This planchette is a classic Ouija planchette, probably from the 1990s, I'm assuming, maybe the 80s. It's that sort of like off-white ivory color plastic. And it has scorch marks on it, and it is twisted.
It's warped.
And warped because it is melted. The little plastic round piece in the center.
It's kind of bubbly. It's got a little bit of scorch marks on it, but it's all twisted, and it's melted off to one side. It's still there, but it's melted to the one side.
This was clearly in a fire.
Yeah, there's still dirt on the front part of it, and there's some dirt on the back. It's definitely been through it. We'll give it that.
So if I remember this story correctly, this story actually takes place, I believe, in the mid-90s.
I think it was. Yeah.
A girl and her younger brother snuck out to Bachelor's Grove Cemetery one night. As lots of children in that area do.
Yes.
You know, gonna go get spooked.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm hearing something that I've never heard before over here.
Are you?
Really?
Do you hear that? There's like
what
movement.
Is that?
Oh, I do. There's something in the wall.
It sounds like tapping.
There's something tapping on the wall. Oh, that absolutely is.
It wasn't happening this entire time.
Is it done? Is it still doing it?
Hold on, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna get my phone out and record it.
So the wall next to Connor has just some like things hanging on it.
It stopped.
No.
All right. Well,
now.
who knows? Continue talking about the planchette, please.
No.
Okay.
Linda. Linda part 2.
Yeah, if we start hearing Linda, hey Linda.
I'm sending it back to Linda.
I don't think she'd be very happy about that.
No.
Weird.
I don't know.
The more we're talking about this.
Tapping on the wall next to Connor. That's never happened in here before.
Never happened in here.
No.
Okay. Well,
Keep talking.
Let's keep telling this story.
So a girl and her brother snuck out to Bachelor's Grove.
Snuck out in the middle of the night
with a Ouija board.
With their Ouija board.
Of course.
Well, what you mean,
perfect.
classic story.
It's so fun. So it's like literally siblings. They went at night to get scared.
To the old haunted cemetery.
Yeah, they brought a creepy Ouija board with them. I bet they were scaring each other the whole time.
100%. And it's a scary walk.
It's a little bit of a walk. Like when you get to the entrance, you've got like a good, I don't know, quarter mile maybe. Like
it's a creepy place.
It's wooded.
Particularly back then.
Yeah, it's very wooded. There's lots of animals. There's like lots of stuff that could be in the woods. Apparently there's ghost houses in the woods. But yes.
That's true.
So they were probably scared out of their minds walking down that creepy dark road.
So they sneak out there in the middle of the night to go use the Ouija board in the haunted Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. They get out there and they start to use the Ouija board. They're using this exact planchette that I'm holding in my hands right now. And they start to use it. And it appears to be working very well. And of course, they're like, you're moving it. No, I'm not moving it. You're moving it. No, I'm not moving it. And it starts to spell some words.
Yeah.
And it goes to B. And then it goes to L. And then it goes to A. And it spells out Black Hen.
Black Hen.
Black Hen over and over again. And they don't know what this means. I have ideas on what that might mean, but that's all that it would do. And it started to go faster and faster. And it felt as though the plastic was getting
warming
hot,
up. Yeah.
Like it was warming up. And then they freaked out because it was too scary. They got up, they ran away, they left. They come back the next day. I mean, I know what that feeling's like. I've been through that before. Like you've probably been through that with your old ghost hunting team. Something scary happens, and then you start to talk about it with your friends, and you're like, "Did that really happen that way? We gotta go up. We gotta go back."
You talk your way back into it for sure.
So they go back, and they find the Ouija board torched, like unsalvageable,
like
on fire, like it had burned.
Yeah.
The only thing that was left was this planchette. All twisted and melted as though it had been burned in a fire.
And that was the only thing there?
That was the only thing there. And she held on to it for all those years.
Wow.
And then one day, I think she heard us on like Coast to Coast AM or something. And
it's so
sent it to us.
It's weird. Oh, it is. It's all melted.
Isn't it wild?
Oh my God. Yeah. And like even the little stoppers, I don't know if you've ever felt the feet, but they feel scorched. Like they feel... This is a weird piece. I like it.
You know what's funny?
It's such a cool thing.
I'll have to dig out the letter. I'll share the letter in the museum member feed because there was some little like chant that they were doing that I had never heard before. It was like Ouija, Ouija, Ouija.
Oh, like a little activation,
like an activation thing that I thought was really cool. It's like Ouija, Ouija, Ouija. We'd really like to meet you or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll find it. I'll dig it out.
We should try it.
And I'll post it in the museum.
We should try it. That sounds fun. We'll try it with museum members.
Yeah, wouldn't that? Oh, we you know what's funny? I don't think we've ever used this during a Ouija board session. I wonder if it would still work. It might. It might.
It definitely might.
We could put new felt on it. Because it looks like the felt has been singed.
Yeah, it's scorched.
We could put new felt on it. Maybe let's do it. Let's do a little...
let's do it.
Let's do a little
Ouija sesh.
Christmas Ouija board session.
That's cool.
Maybe
I like that idea.
Maybe with our annual Santa Claus seance.
There you go.
Every year, if you're not a member of the museum, every year we do a big seance on Christmas Eve where we conjure Santa Claus, the spirit of Santa Claus.
We do.
And my Lord, it is weirder
not weird.
Every year.
It's
it is
never
nuts.
not weird.
Every year we remind people that there absolutely is a spirit of Santa Claus.
Absolutely is. How you want to determine what that spirit is up to you
totally
and your personal
choice.
Belief system. But we've channeled Santa Claus every single year. We've gotten EVPs that say ho, ho, ho. It is strange.
It is.
So maybe we will use this Ouija board.
Let's do it.
This Ouija planchette and see who we can talk to.
I think that's a great idea.
So, knowing all of that, we should talk about the most famous thing about Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Well, we can't not talk about the Madonna of
Bachelor's Grove.
It's an iconic image. Again, if you are interested in ghosts and ghost photos, it's probably one of the first ones that you've seen.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the first ones that pops into your head when you think about ghosts.
It's an iconic image at this point. This image is an old black and white image that looks like an old-timey lady sitting on a very particular gravestone in that cemetery. It's a checkerboard gravestone.
It's very easy to recognize.
And she looks almost forlorn.
Yeah, she looks like she's sort of sad and lost in thought.
Yeah.
She's sitting on the side of it, kind of, it's a profile shot of her. And she's just sort of looking a bit at the ground, like she's staring off into the woods with her hands in her lap.
Great photo.
It's a really, really interesting photo.
It's a spooky photo. It's a classically ghost photo. But what people might not know about it is if they've seen it. It ain't that old.
No, I thought it was way older than it actually is.
It's not.
I thought
thing
it was
from 1991.
I had no idea that it was that new.
It is. So here's the interesting thing. We did a little bit of digging on this, or I should say, Connor-Claus.
Connor-Claus did
a little bit of digging about the the Madonna of Bachelor's Grove photograph, and this is the thing. It is not that old. It's from 1991. There was, back in the 70s, in I think 1977, there was a report that was on a radio show of a woman who had taken a photo of what looked like an old nun holding a baby.
Yes.
And one of the more famous, particularly haunted gravestones in Bachelor's Grove is one of a mother and a child.
Yeah.
And so that one you normally see like lots of gifts, coins, and stuffed teddy bears.
A lot
and
of
stuff
people
around
are familiar with that one.
Yeah.
It's sort of tucked in the back a little bit to the side. You can't miss it. Like you said, it usually has lots of offerings and things that people have brought.
The interesting thing about this photo is we've never seen the one from 1977. So this is a photo that a woman took. She called into this radio show.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No one, as far as I know, has this
ever
photograph.
seen it? I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
For some reason, I always thought this was the photo from that time, from that era. But you're right. Yeah, it's from 1991.
There's that interview, which is interesting, which I think kind of starts some of that story, some of that lore, because I think the lore was that there's a woman looking for her baby.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I don't know if anybody out there is listening who has access to that photo or has seen the photo or knows about that photo.
If you have, please tell us. I would love to hear your story.
Yeah, get in touch because I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen it before.
That would be wonderful. Sure, a lot of people would like to see it.
The famous photo from 1991 was taken by Judy Huff Feltz of the Ghost Research Society.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah, you have a bunch of their newsletters.
Yeah, actually, I was just looking at them to see if I could find an image of it before the show.
It's very cool. So even back then, before the internet, before everything, they had a newsletter where they were keeping everyone up to date on their investigations,
It's
which
one
is
of the
pretty
oldest
cool.
ghost hunting teams, I think, in the country. They've been doing this since the 80s.
That's very, very neat.
At least the 80s, because that's where their newsletters go back to. They're still around today. They're still doing stuff today.
Yeah.
They're some of the experts about Bachelor's Grove.
Very cool.
It was one of their members that captured that photo of the Madonna. It was captured on infrared film, which is why it's black and white. So most people would see that photograph and think, oh, it's from the 40s or the 50s.
That's probably why we all have no idea when it was actually taken, because it does definitely look like an old photo.
Nope, it was taken with infrared film on an Olympus automatic 35 millimeter telephoto.
Okay.
And it automatically winds to the next frame after you take a photograph.
Oh, that's interesting.
So one of the common skeptical arguments about that photo is that it's some kind of a double exposure trick.
So that the argument is that this camera is not capable of even doing that.
Because it automatically winds.
Yeah.
At least not without like crazy difficulty.
Yeah, you'd have to really force it.
It doesn't really look like a double exposure when you look at it. We fortunately have a photograph expert that we can reach out to.
Yeah.
Our director, Carl Pfeiffer. Who isn't just the director of all of our projects. He's a fantastic...
He's also our friend.
He's also our friend, but he's also a fantastic photographer.
He is a wonderful photographer, and he's a perfect person to ask about this kind of stuff because he's also a wonderful paranormal investigator.
He is, and he's very skeptical.
He is very skeptical.
So we
the
asked.
man breathes cameras.
Yes,
we
he
like
does.
to say. Yeah.
He definitely does.
What did Carl have to say about this, Connor-Claus?
I reached out to Carl, and he said that, the reason it being IR automatically makes the colors look really pretty wild. So
They
you're
look
not going to
weird.
see a lot of discrepancy between the image and the background,
Yes.
which can give the illusion of transparency.
Oh, that's interesting.
And sort of make it look a little bit more spooky than it maybe actually is.
Got it.
So that was the first thing that he brought up. He said he doesn't think it's a double exposure. That doesn't make sense. But it being infrared does do that. It was very common in the 90s because you just used infrared film. As to now, you would have to have a special camera that has like things taken out of it, and it's a whole
We've got a few of those.
Setup.
We've got some GoPros, the same kind that they use on like finding Bigfoot and stuff like that. What they do is they remove the infrared filter that's on all cameras. They remove the infrared filter, and then it creates an infrared photograph. And most of the time when you see them now, they're like pink.
Yeah.
Or like
purple, kind of.
ultraviolet, you know?
So really the first thing he said is, well, it's not a piece of dust on the lens, so that's a good step.
That's a big step.
It's a good photo. And really what it kind of came down for Carl is it's either a person or it's not.
Yeah.
So it's either a ghost or it's not, which I think is what we all think anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
But he doesn't believe there's any camera trickery involved. It's
Interesting.
just that in his experience, and I would agree with this as well, he said, you know what, at the Stanley, he and I worked at the Stanley for 5 years together.
Yeah.
Lost count of the number of times that somebody would take a picture and not be paying as close attention to their surroundings as you think they might be. So, so his idea is, unless, not in any insulting way at all, it could be a ghost, but unless he takes it himself, he doesn't really trust it.
That's
so
fair. That's fair.
It could be a woman sitting there that they didn't realize, and they developed the picture days later.
Yeah.
Supposedly she was in the cemetery alone.
Yes.
So if that's the case, that's pretty shocking. But didn't see it at the time, Judy said. So it just showed up on the film.
There's a cool interview with the head of the society, Dale. I can't pronounce his last name, but Dale was talking about how they took that photo.
Yeah.
And they were just taking turns, all taking photos outside of the entrance.
Yeah, so they would let people go in. They would let people go in alone and take their photos, and then they would come out and the next people would go in. So the idea was to limit, like Carl, said, limit the amount of potential crossover you would have of like someone just wandering around, or even just you forgetting, oh shit, that guy was sitting there. Oh, I totally forgot. Like, that's a completely honest mistake. A lot of us have done it. Many people have done it. But I think that's an interesting detail is that according to the people who were there when the photo was taken, they were doing it in a way that was a bit more controlled than what you would initially think, which is, I think, kind of cool.
I mean, these guys are old school.
Yeah.
They've been doing this a long time. They care a lot about their credibility.
Yes,
like,
they
I think
do.
in the interview, we'll link it in the show notes. Dale even talks about that. Like, they didn't have any real reason to put their credibility on the line like that.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, from our photo expert, from Carl, it's either there's an actual person there, or there's not. So it really depends on whether or not you trust the society.
Yeah, you trust the people taking the photo.
I've never heard anything bad about those guys. They've been around a long time.
It's such a cool picture.
A lot of the legends that we were reading about on the internet as kids were from these guys. A lot of what I know about Bachelor Cemetery is because I was reading stuff from their ghost hunting society.
I mean, you literally have a huge collection of their old newsletters.
Yeah.
It's
like
very
anything
cool.
else, we'll keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Of course.
But you also, if you ask Carl, he'd probably lean towards, I think it might be a person. But irregardless, we should go there and try it ourselves.
I would love to do
that's how
that.
it goes.
That would be so fun. And it's in the middle of the day, so we can just go and try it. Yeah. We should absolutely go and try it.
Maybe we could go talk to the team.
Yes.
Dale's still around. We should go talk to Dale.
We'll get the lowdown.
Maybe Judy is still around.
We'll get the dirt.
We'll get the dirt
from Dale.
On the dirt.
Speaking of that dirt, it has a connection to that famous photo,
It does?
It does.
What is it, Connor-Claus?
Well, the dirt was gathered off of loose dirt from the alleged infant grave that the Madonna is supposedly looking for.
Oh, so she's looking wistfully at that grave.
I forgot about that detail.
And that's where this came from. That is very interesting. Well, I mean, couldn't we technically communicate with the Madonna?
I mean, having a figure wandering around.
Yeah.
It kind of fits some of the legends and things like that, too.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it is an interesting connection. It supposedly it was taken from that area and also from the entrance. You'll notice that those are the two areas that would have the most loose dirt because that's where people are wandering around a lot.
Yep. Yeah. High traffic areas.
That's a high traffic tombstone, too.
Yeah,
Dana, you've talked about how important thresholds are.
Oh, yeah, like liminal spaces.
So it kind of connects in there, too.
That's a good point, Connor. I didn't think about that, but that's absolutely true. It's literally from that kind of boundary point.
I will give you an alternate perspective on the dirt. I wouldn't be surprised if the thing that potentially was attached to the dirt, whatever this thing was that was freaking Linda out, might not be the thing on the EVPs.
Yes.
And the reason is, if you listen to those EVPs again, it is telling Linda, wake up.
Yeah.
Get rid of the dirt.
Yeah. It's warning Linda.
It's telling Linda.
Get it out of here.
Get it out of here.
Yeah,
There's something
don't want
wrong.
this.
There's something wrong with this.
So there was already something
out of
there.
Here.
Yeah.
I wonder if it wasn't Kevin Bacon.
I hope it was Kevin Bacon.
Psychically talking to his mom.
Yeah, get this dirt out of my bedroom, please.
Maybe, here's the thing. Let's get real wild with it. Maybe Kevin Bacon was actually talking. Maybe Kevin Bacon was whispering in Linda's ear at night saying, Linda. It does sound a little gruff.
It does sound pretty gruff.
Hey, Linda. Wake up, Linda. Get rid of the dirt.
I love this idea. R.I.P. Kevin Bacon.
It was either Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Potentially the Madonna.
A ghost, an actual
of Bachelor's
ghost
Grove Cemetery.
lady. Yeah.
Or some just like random ghost that's hanging out at Linda's house saying, hey, I know we don't normally bother you very much, but there's something with this dirt. You got to get rid of it.
Yeah, this dirt's got bad vibes. Get it out of here.
With Talking Dog.
I like Talking Dog,
I like Talking Dog.
I think,
Seconded.
Yep. Seconded. There we go.
Thirded it.
You can read more about just about all of these things in the museum.
Yes.
There's entire dossiers on some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
You can listen to more of the EVPs. You can watch the interviews.
Yeah, we've done investigations with some of these objects, so you can watch old investigations that we've done.
And we're going to do more investigations.
I love this idea. Can we talk to Captain Howdy?
We can try. We should. Why not?
I mean, maybe not. Well,
I mean,
that'd be kind of
if
fun.
we can talk to Santa Claus, I think we can talk to Captain Howdy.
Probably.
This was so much fun, Connor-Claus. Thank you for coming to visit us.
Yeah.
Will you come and visit us again next year?
Of course. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas. Until next year.
What the f?
Did he just disappear? Maybe Connor-Claus is real!
The Haunted Objects podcast is hosted by Greg and Dana Newkirk, produced by Connor J. Randall, with cinematography and editing by Carl Pfeiffer, and features exclusive artifacts from the Newkirk Museum of the Paranormal. To learn more about the artifacts featured in this episode, take part in live interactive experiments, and enjoy exclusive Haunted Objects content, become a museum member at patreon.com/paramuseum. This has been a Planet Weird production for Spectre Vision Radio.
Holy.
Oh, he is Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh, he is related.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
Guy's been living under our desk.
The guy's been under there the whole time?
How long you been down there? How long have you been down there?
I've been in the walls.
That's what the sound of the walls was? That's my wife. That's Lady.